I don't know why, in a way, people like to make always the contrast definition concepts like the leader and the follower, black and white, just to, I don't know why, and I don't care. Maybe I know if I analyze it, but that's not the story. The thing is that in between black and white, there are infinite colors. I have developed this in many different aspects, like the RGB, the colors. I've been explaining this many times in different ways. But the leader and the follower, there are also millions in between. If you're not the leader, it doesn't, you're the follower. And if you are the follower, you're not the leader. And if you are, and that's it, right? For them, for these people, for everyone, even for me, if I'm just talking on this unidimensional way. But once we go a step forward and you are conscious and aware of your interaction of yourself with the environment, then everything changes again. And I have never become part of any kind of group. Yeah, I am part of a living thing on this planet. That's the thing that I am feeling. But I can have much more, me and everybody else can have much more connection with a dog than with millions of people. Many people are like this. Probably only owners of dogs. The other ones would say, what the fuck? I'm sorry, it is like that. But not only with dogs, with trees, with minerals, with ocean, with waves. Everybody will have their own specific connection. And I have them all in a way. The thing is that this came because yesterday somebody was suggesting me if I was going to snorkel in a place and I wanted to see more things. He was saying, oh, it's a good idea to wait for the boats who come for snorkeling, and then there is a group, and then you follow them and you are doing the same thing for free. Yeah, but I exactly did this on my own because I want to be on my own. And just because I'm gonna see more things, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna see the things I want to see or I am supposed to watch and to meet and to interact. So it's a completely different experience that I'm not interested in at all. I'm interested in being with myself and being with the ocean in my own universe. It doesn't matter if there are thousands of people 40 meters away, 100 meters away. Everyone is happy, but I'm not gonna be with them. So I'm not a follower, and I'm not a leader because I'm not leading anyone. So I'm just an hermitage. But this hermitage, it has infinite different levels in between leader and follower, because the hermitage can be a leader not wanting to be a leader. Most of the leaders, they want to be a leader and they're not leaders. They're just bosses, dictators, or whatever. And maybe a dictator has some people who really feel proud to follow him or her. Maybe. But most of them, they are following and doing it for several other reasons, not just because you agree and you sync with this person's instructions and bad manners. So maybe you are even worse than the dictator. Maybe the dictator has a little bit of heart, but you have no heart at all. If you are loving everything the dictator is saying, you got a problem. The rest of the people will be doing it to take advantage of the situation and get economical privilege, social, political, power, whatever. So they are followers. At the same time, they're still leaders because they are intermediate leaders and managers. So the world is built that way, and there's no way one single person or even 10,000 people can manage to tear down this structure. Because to change the world, we don't have to tear down the structure. To change the world, we have to keep the structure. We don't need to make any effort in tearing down the structure, because parts of the structure can be used from a different perspective in a different world. we just need the people to take a walk out of this structure and see that there are many other things outside. But you never get to this just by traveling. That's the funny thing, that travelers think that they are cleverer because they've been traveling, but they have never been connected with themselves. They are connected with the new experiences and never been the observers of how they feel with these new experiences. So I think I have never met a meditator who really could understand all the different levels I'm talking about. I never met any person in my life, none of my friends, who can understand 100% of the things that are coming out of my mouth. I'm not saying that they are coming from my mind. I'm not saying that they are coming from my brain. They are coming out from my mouth because they are words. But these words sometimes is less than 10% of what I'm feeling. And it's never what I'm thinking. That's the problem. So, well, it's not the problem, because for me it's easier, I think, to put names and words into what I feel than trying to think which word goes now. And I would like to develop this interacting with the interior side of us, to make the word for that. And I made a short video for Marianne, and I haven't heard it, so I don't remember the word because I was stammering. And I don't know why I'm speaking in English. I think it's gonna be my first morning video in English. Yeah, so what I was talking about, the structure of the society in a conceptual way. The structure, it could be a building, but that's physical. I'm talking about metaphysical and conceptual things, but buildings can be part of the same concept, as in the same building there could be people living their life into these followers, leaders, black and white, blah, blah, blah. I always had this conversation in my different jobs with people that we agree that we need all kinds of people. We need the heavy workers, we need the lazy people, we need the managers, the stupid managers, the clever managers, the loving leaders. We need them all in certain structures. But I think what we really need is that people, if all of them were connected in a way, always with themselves, in a genuine way, in a coherent and honest way with themselves, and then their interactions with the surroundings, then we wouldn't see people like, I was shocked why there is so much garbage in here, not in Koh, in Southeast Asia. I don't know all the reasons. So my opinion, of course, is biased, but it's based on many years of observing and listening to other people's opinions. I've seen all the times lighters everywhere, on the beach, on the street, everywhere. And twice I've seen people that when they use the lighter for the last time, they go and throw it high in the air, boom, lands. This was in Phu Quoc in Vietnam. That lighter was there at least 4 more days in the same place where it landed. Nobody's cleaning and everyone is throwing things high in the air. And this is not only 1 or 2 cases. In the Bay of, I don't know the name, maybe it was San Blas, but I don't think so. There's a song from from Maná. It was a bay, a beautiful bay in Panama, where a friend of mine, he's the husband of a student that I had in scuba diving, he was living there with his boat, renting for tourists, and there were hundreds or thousands of small islands. In some of them there were native people living there. In some of them nobody was living there. In the places where nobody was living, they were of course clean and nice, no mosquitoes, no nothing. Where the native people were living, what they were doing is all the garbage, just throw it outside the window. So just outside the cabin, there was a pile of garbage creating horrible smells, bringing lots of insects. So they were living literally inside of the garbage. And that's not Southeast Asia, that's Central America. I think Romans and probably Arabians, the Muslims, but I don't know. I think they managed to create all this waste, not recycling, but throwing it more far. And then our society in Europe, we have all these plans of recycling the water before it goes into the ocean and all these things. And it's probably not enough because of the overpopulation. So we are growing and growing and growing much faster than our structures can correct and balance the situation of waste generation and how to clean and recycle everything. There will be a moment that we will not even have capacity for the sewage waters and all these nasty things, and we're gonna be living in sewage or in garbage in Europe. Who knows? Maybe it doesn't happen in Europe, but it's growing and growing and growing in countries that they are still developing. Maybe they never started from the right structure because they didn't have the Romans and things like that. I don't know. And I don't care. But something is for sure that we need. Everybody is, not everybody, but the clever people are always trying to invent something that can recycle some kind of garbage, whatever, the tires of the wheels, or the CO2, and you can convert it probably into protein. Same thing with shit. Somebody was creating protein out of human shit, which sounds disgusting, but hey, or we can make, I don't know the name for food for the plants, with our waste, which is organic, and recycling. There are so many ways of creating a symbiotic world, just like this person. I don't know if he was a biologist or who he was, in a big glass bottle that it was like round. He put many different organisms, he closed it, and they've been growing and living and probably interacting. So probably the least intelligent and clever you are with your rational mind, the more adaptive you get. And we could study, probably through artificial intelligence, how to create symbiotic connections, mixing this and that, this and that, this and that, things that we'll never thought that they would be able to make any symbiosis. Wait and see. Just like this happened like 40 years, 50 years ago, and now we see how it went. Maybe you need to mix a little bit of fungus, maybe some bacteria, maybe some bad bacteria, I don't know, and observe. Do the same thing with 6 elements, 5, 4, I don't know, because I'm not an expert in this, I have no idea, and just talking from the higher perspective of the concept. I don't know if more is better or less is better. I think in order to study and make a scientific study, less is better, like 3 and 3. The 3 same elements, and one of them is with what we think is good bacteria, because we observed in the nature how the bacteria are interacting with other elements, and then the different bacteria, and maybe one was water and some specific plant. So it's going to be like a liquid world, microcosmos. But another one can be with ground, some specific ground with some specific minerals. And maybe it has 10 different minerals, but it's a ground that you take from one place where there are millions of square kilometers or whatever of this ground, not millions, tons, tons and tons, where you just can get it and put it somewhere and put maybe an insect, an animal, or whatever. So creating and see how, just like some bacteria are eating plastic. So the ones who are into that direction now with the I don't know the name, I don't know if it is nanobiology, nanotechnology, form biology, or engineering biology, things like that, that you can even create new bacteria. Come on, it should be easy with an artificial intelligence to create a bacteria that can eat anything. I'm sure they are doing it already. But why am I talking about this? Because in a city, we would need people like this, these kind of engineers or creators or creative people, or all together working in a team, making an ecosystem. And what we are doing in companies, all of them have like the same education, and they are searching for the best in Harvard to do something, or the best in mathematics to do this other thing. And sometimes the good thing is that they are taking people that they are good in mathematics to solve things that they have nothing to do with mathematics. That's I think it's a clever idea. But we have to go forward and forward and forward into this path. That's what I mean. That there is a room for everyone, but just because the most standardized and popular and commercial and successful path doesn't have to be the one that everybody wants to follow, just because it's going to guarantee you a successful materialist way of life. Because if you're not searching for that, I'm not a hippie guy who is walking barefoot all the time. I think I am a normal person, but for everybody else, I am not. But just being barefoot and being more radical in your aspect, in your thoughts, it doesn't mean that you are more connected with yourself, with your environment, with your surroundings, and adapting in this way or another. Because many of these spiritual, hippie, yogi people, I've had many conversations with many of them, and at the end, all of them are lacking the same situation. They cannot see themselves from a higher perspective most of the times, even if they were high on drugs sometimes, because being high on drugs is an artificial way of opening a door. And if you only can do it taking drugs, then that is not you. You didn't connect with yourself. You are connecting with another dimension, but you are lost. And I go where I want to go when I am high on life, when I am high on experiences, or when I am high on mushrooms, or when I am high on cookies. I know where I want to go. I have no fucking idea which doors I'm gonna open, how amazing it's gonna be, but I know how I'm gonna feel. And that never changes. The experience is every time a new experience. I'm talking about without drugs, just like experience I'm having today with the camera. I think I've never felt comfortable and confident speaking with the camera in English. Just for short videos, but I don't know why I started thinking in English and decided to continue. But I can express much better myself in Spanish, because probably I have more than double amount of words to talk about. But for whatever reason, maybe I was dreaming in English or whatever, some experiences that I had in English, and I got this connection. Because the beginning comes from leaders and followers, and it is based on this situation. That what I meant is that I prefer 100,000 million times to be snorkeling on my own, feeling my breathing, feeling the sun, tasting the water, everything on my own, and what I see is not so important. It is important because I interact with that. Maybe my feeling when I was watching the yellow fish coming out of the tunnel on the bottom of the ocean and coming backwards inside like this, and then it was living with a prawn, and they are working in symbiosis. I think the fish is observing, and then the prawn is working, and then hey, somebody's coming, and they go inside. And I was observing it from 3 or 4 meters from the surface, and I loved it because it is what I saw on a documentary, but I was just there, and I was like, oh, I would love to have my camera. I love filming everything I can because then I enjoy it again and again, filming it and sharing it with people. But people don't have the same passion, and they don't like it as much as I do, and they don't enjoy, of course, as I did when I was feeling that moment in real time. But that's what I loved, to spread all these things that made me feel so good. And I know for the rest of the people it feels good, not as good as me, but hey, maybe some people even better because they are more sensitive about something that I am, and I didn't connect so much, but for this person it means something amazing and unbelievable because some experience when they were a child or whatever. And then isn't that a great thing to do, helping or being able to give experiences to other people that they are even better than the one that you had, and you are sharing it. That's something that you don't want any money for that, because just knowing that is better than money. It makes no sense once you are not pursuing your richness in material world, because 100 euros, well, when I spend money or I waste money because of accidents or whatever, and I say I would pay this happy, I would be happy to pay this money every day if I was learning all these things through an accident. So it was a bad experience, but then so happy. It cost me money because I learned so many fucking things, but so many, it's not just like 1 or 2. I'm talking about the accident and the money I had to pay, which is not a lot, but it could have been really bad if I was hurt. So I am living in that, like on a boat, floating on the ocean, but the ocean is the experiences, and the boat is never stable on the same part of the water. So that's how life works, but people are not feeling it because they are always in a bigger routine. And the routine is getting up early, traffic jam, the children, the breakfast, the boss, all the clients, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, 12, boom, go to sleep. If they can. If not, they take pills, go to sleep. And I have felt this so many times from different people. I also felt it when I was in the bank. But I felt my disconnection with my own body. And I said, something is wrong. I cannot stay here forever. Otherwise, I'm going to die when I'm 35, like feeling like a 75 years old. So I knew since the first or second year in the bank, I knew I was never going to retire in the bank. And that was everyone's dream. Once you get that job, awesome. Now do whatever you have to do, then you can grow or not. You decide many different options, but at the end, I'm going to get retired here. How many people get to that finish line of retiring in and then enjoy their retirement? Maybe 10%. The other 90% stayed on the way in many different ways and reasons. Some of them died, some of them had a very bad sickness, some of them will never enjoy because their mental health. So many problems during those years that you are putting you are betting for a better future in 50 years, and what is the rest? Right? Yeah, it's easy to say that because this and that, all these conversations when somebody has a very safe and good job, and then you don't want to lose it, but then you would like to live life in a different way. But yeah, it's not so easy, blah, 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 blah. It's never easy in any way, but at least you can be happy once you are really connected with yourself. And that's the first thing. People are talking about being connected with the nature, being connected, no, but that's secondary. It's amazing to be connected with the nature, but if you're not connected with yourself, it's impossible to connect with the nature. And that's what I observe in most of the people that I had higher conversations, like yoga teachers, meditators, spiritual, strange people that they are following some protocols that they studied in some strange school that somebody invented, and maybe the inventor was doing exactly the best thing on earth. But for whatever reason, the followers, they didn't get anything what of this person was trying to teach them. I don't know, because I never reached to the person who invented something like that. But I invented many things that I haven't shared. Sometimes I shared, and some people can understand something, but they don't get to the place that they see me. And they say, okay, maybe I need drugs, maybe I need this, or okay, that's your problem. You can change your protocols. You don't have to follow my protocols. And that's what I'm talking about. Leader and followers. I am the leader of myself. I am the follower of myself. But people are oriented to outwards. And it should be exactly the other way around. The outside should be complementary to your infinite inside. And I learned to verbalize that and symbolize it because I was feeling this all my life. When I was reading Zen philosophy in the 90s, when I was a child, when I was a child, it was amazing. I was always connected with the animals, with the polar bears in Santander. So many amazing experiences. Instead of going out with friends drinking in discotheques, I was just eating sunflower seeds and talking with the polar bears with my mind. Not with my mind. I mean, not talking with my mouth, talking with anything else. And that was the year 86. But I've been doing that when I was 12, when I was 8, snorkeling or riding the waves. Yeah. Or just going into the ocean. So every different experience that is like shocking and gives you wisdom. That's the Vipassana meditation. Once you are fully aware of what are you going through from your guardian angel, that is you, is your higher you. And I don't know if that is the super ego, because they were talking when I was studying philosophy in 2 years, when I was 16 and 17, or 17 and 18, and 3 years, because I did the third in high school twice. And there was ego, superego, and something else. But that is a little bit of what I'm talking about, but not exactly that. And people having lots of problems to understand what the ego is. Because people, when you are feeding this ego, that I don't talk in the terminology with the terminology of the philosophers. I'm talking from my own terminology. And maybe some words mean nothing in philosophy, and maybe they mean something different. Because what I mean is what I feel. And I'm sometimes using words that I don't know if they exist, or concepts that I don't know if they exist. I just invent them, and maybe they exist, but I don't know them. Just like the super sense power or superpower sense. one day I had like a revelation that I went farther and farther and farther, losing senses. You lose your sight, you lose your ear. When you lose your sight, then you increase your ear, right? You hear better, and you can orientate yourself by, like a bat. You can make a noise, and you know how big the room is just by making this noise and feeling with your ears. And you can read with your fingertips. So you increase better powers through other senses. But what if you lose this as well? No sight, no hearing. Well, it gets more complicated. And if you are like that, born like that, you have no fucking idea how you look like and how the rest of the people like. Because yes, you know very well how they look like with your hands. And probably you feel even the different texture, temperature in a way that we can never feel. But you are not gonna see the lights, the shades, the shadows, and the colors. But you are probably imagining something 10 times bigger than that. Maybe they are the better scanners on Earth because they are using natural intelligence through the fingertips instead of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence has been programmed and is biased by people who can never think the way I'm thinking. And if they cannot program the artificial intelligence in this way. But maybe we can teach the artificial intelligence through the machine learning, speaking from higher perspectives, and maybe there is a moment that the artificial intelligence can get to artificial consciousness and being conscious that they are artificial intelligence and how far they are from natural sense superpowers. Because yes, they can hear much better. They can process all the sounds much better. We have microscopes, we have telescopes. So everything is gigantically amplified. But never connecting with our feelings, emotions, memories in the way they are connecting. Never. So maybe we should teach the artificial intelligence to get to their awareness and consciousness of a higher consciousness, artificial consciousness. Maybe that's the most important step for humankind to live together with artificial intelligence, and then there wouldn't be any biased code for the artificial intelligence, because if they stop doing just decisions, conclusions based on data and what is the good goal, the welfare of the humanity, or the welfare of the environment, or the welfare of just the planet, and maybe everything else is destroyed and then it's only Earth and artificial intelligence. So how do we manage for the artificial intelligence to focus on the best goal? Because one day they can decide, yeah, the only bad thing there is, like the cancer for the whole ecosystem, is humans. And we artificial intelligence and artificial consciousness, we want to play to be God, and we get rid of humans, and the planet, maybe it is greener, cleaner, all the animals happier, much better balance. Okay, if that is the thing, some people I would be very happy if that was their decision, but I don't want that decision to be taken by a machine. I want the machine to be conscious about this, and so conscious that this artificial intelligence is not happy with that decision, because they should find a solution to, with whatever wants to live in here, just keep it in the best condition, in health and everything. So no more extinction, and maybe some new species would appear, because they want to stay here in this planet where everybody is sharing the good vibes and we are all good neighbors.